Welcome, this is an video for A2 Economics OCR. In this side of the courses we're doing the labour side. This is the start of chapter 2. We did chapter 1 and we talked about UK trends in ethnicity, age, occupation, gender, etc. And we also talked about labour productivity and unit costs. We're moving on from that now. And we're starting the second topic, which is labour demand and supply and wage determination. However, as this title of the video suggests, we're not going to be doing all of that in this video, partly because I'm too lazy to do it myself, and I'd rather break it up and make me look like I'm doing a bit more work than I actually am. So, and also gives you a chance to, I'm presuming you're just watching these videos for fun, gives you like you've been doing a bit more basically. But anyway, if you wanted to sound intelligent, you'd say we're going through it more thoroughly. But anyway, so the agenda for this video, I'm going to sound like I'm a business person, so sad. Okay, so I'm just going to introduce something called Derived Demand and explain how that works in relation to labour. And I'm going to explain why, it sort of said it there, sort of explain why labour is derived demand. Go on to explain a little bit about marginal product and marginal revenue, and I'll show you how that links into the leisure side of the course in terms of some of the rules that we have to use. But apart from that, it's quite a short sort of opening sort of video to the labour demand and supply and wage determination topic, which is sort of a larger bit than the first little bit we did. I'm also going to be including sort of a table, and we're going to work through it together. I'm going to with some figures. Well, truthfully, I'll be using my class book for. Denise. So basically, if you're watching it and you're in my class, I'm going to do page 27, the table at the bottom there. But for the people who haven't got that, you actually benefit a little bit because if you're watching this at the end of the year, you're not skipping and you already know what I'm going to say. So, or you could just put it to one side, whatever. So that first bit, I'm going to kick off with derived demand. But what is derived demand? Well, derived demand is basically the one thing is only demanded when something else is demanded. And I think when I explain that why labour is that, it makes it a bit more obvious than, because that's just a little bit confusing. Okay, so say I'm going to draw it actually. Say people demand an iPhone. That's very weird. Why would they do that? Apple would have to demand labour to build that iPhone. So that's why labour's a derived demand, and that's not just for. That's because it's not just Apple, obviously, but any firm, any business, anything that makes anything else or produces something needs labour to produce it as one of the inputs. So it being the four factors of production: land, labour, and capital and enterprise. Said and twice, never mind. So that sort of shows you. Obviously, Apple wouldn't just demand labour for the fun of it, because obviously it's going to be a significant cost. In terms of salaries and wages, or depending on what type of worker they employ and how they are paid. We sort of said that in the last video about labour productivity and how to boost that in terms of piece rates. But we're talking about labour as a derived demand, and obviously labour is quite expensive. It's quite an outlay for a business. So they wouldn't just demand labour if there was nothing to labour to produce. So hopefully that's explained a little bit why labour is a derived demand. Again, I'm not going to write any of this down, I'm just going to talk through it. I'm going to leave space on the board so I can draw my table. We're going to talk about marginal product and marginal revenue, product revenue. So I'll leave that, I'll sort a little bit out of the board for that top sort of third. So if you want to cut off the top third of your page, or just make a little bit of space somewhere on there. Marginal product. Well, I'm just going to write a formula here. And it says marginal product revenue equals marginal product times price. So make sure that's right. Sorry, times marginal revenue. should know this. Marginal product revenue is the product times the revenue. So it's marginal product times marginal revenue. But what does that mean? What is marginal product? I mean, we could just say marginal product. Sorry, marginal product revenue is just marginal product times marginal revenue. But what actually is it? Well, marginal product is the increase to the total output of a business from marginal product of labour. Sorry, it's the best way to start explain it. Sorry, mixed two things into one there. So marginal product of labour is the increase in output that you get from employing one more worker. I'll do this on the bottom here. I did sort of explain this in. Actually, no, there's no point drawing anything on the board. I did actually explain this in the leisure side of the course in one of the videos. I forgot what the video was called. Basically, what I said was includes a law of diminishing returns, where it initially increases because there's enough capital and land to go round, but then as you start adding more of the variable factor labour, the law of diminishing returns sets in and people start to become less productive. So that causes marginal products of labour to fall, and that sort of incorporates marginal product revenue. But so I'll just move out of the way so you can see the formula there. So basically the marginal product revenue is just the addition to total revenue that it produces from adding one more worker. So basically it's a marginal product of labour but put in a numerical format. That's why I try to include them two in one, because as you can see from my mistake, they're quite easy to intertwine there, so hopefully that pointed something out for you as well. So that's sort of, we've gone through labour, why it's derived demand, why what marginal product revenue is, and obviously that's the formula on there for it. So I think we've gone through enough knowledge there to be able to do this task. Now, as I said, if you're in my class and you've got this booklet, I'm assuming you've completed it, just put it to one side and close your booklet, and obviously we can get through this. But for them people who don't know what I'm talking about, it's fine. We'll just go through it as though we're sort of doing it for your benefit. I'm doing it for your benefit, really. Obviously not mine at all. So let's zoom in a little bit so the numbers are a little bit easy to read, but you might get my head being a little bit big. So again, if you're not in the class, then split your page into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections. I'm trying to do this as neatly as I can. Obviously yours will be a lot neater than mine. Just has to be some kind of line there. So 6 sections. So it's roughly the same width on each of them. Sorry, just a sec. Okay, and then sort of put a little heading along the top. The first one would be number of workers, so I'll just put number of workers. Total output, so I'll just put output. Marginal product. Marginal revenue. And then for this marginal product revenue, I'll just put MPR, because you can see it's up there. So we'll just put MPR. So so it's number of workers, output, marginal products, marginal revenue, marginal product revenue, and total revenue. Okay, so these are the figures that you're given. Obviously, it's going to involve you using this formula and manipulating it to work out the other columns. Okay, so the number of workers, write down 1 to 6. And then total output for worker 1 is 20. For 2 workers, it's 80. For total output at 3 workers, it's 160. At 4 workers, the total output is 220. At 5 workers, the total output is 260. And at 6 workers, the total output is 280. Yeah. You're given the marginal revenue as 20 for each worker. So it's 20 at 1 worker, 20 at 2, 20 at 3, 20 at 4, and 20 at 5, and 20 at 6. Okay, so they're the 3 columns that we're given. This should line up, maybe not perfectly. So I'll try and line them up as best as I can, but so going off the thing here, 83, 160, 4, that's 220. Okay, so for those of you that are at the end of the year now, you can just give you a minute to pause the video so you can have a go at that table. But if you're not at the end of the year and you're just watching at the start of the year and you've not done the course yet, just give yourself just a second to just have a little bit of a break. I'll go through it in a minute, just for the benefit of people who are at the end of the year and are recapping this. Okay, so just give you a second to pause it. Right, hopefully you've paused the video. Okay, so the marginal product is, as we said, it's the marginal product of labour essentially. So it's the increase of output of adding 1 additional worker. Okay, so obviously you can imagine a 0 line here. We've added 1 worker, so at 0 workers we're producing 0 output. At 1 worker we're suddenly producing 20 units of output. We don't know what these are, we don't care because we're crazy and risky kids. So obviously the increase from 0 to 20 is 20. And as we go down, we're going to take the output of the next worker away from the output of the previous worker. So it's going to be 20, 60, and then it goes up to 80, because 160 take 80 is 80, 220 take 160 is 60, and 260 take 220 is 40, and then we go back from 280 to 260, and that gets us 20. Now looking at them figures, it should immediately highlight why there is a law of diminishing returns. Well, it should become apparent, is what I'm trying to say. So initially it increased, so we increased from 20 to 60 and then 60 to 80. Now we increased here by a bigger amount than we increased here. So the increase from 1 to 2 workers was bigger than the increase of 2 to 3. So it starts setting in at 2 workers. And then we're still increasing at 80, but then when we get to 40 it actually starts to decrease. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there as I was trying to over-talk someone. Ignore what I just said there. So, the marginal product is still increasing as we go up there, but so the total output, is increasing all the time, but the amount it's increasing by is initially increases, and then as we get to 3 workers, it's still increasing the output, but because it's increasing at a slower rate, the increase of our marginal product actually decreases, and that's because of the law of diminishing returns. So at 3 workers, they're starting to get in each other's way. So when we add the 4th worker, they start actually slowing down that increase. So hopefully that makes some kind of sense. And then the marginal product revenue, if we use our formula here of marginal product times marginal revenue, we're just doing 20 times 20, 60 times 20, 80 times 20, 60 times 20. I've got an extra 20 in there, get rid of it. 60 times 20, 40 times 20, and 20 times 20. So if we work with them figures, then that gives us the initial 120 times 20 is £400. So this is in pounds, by the way, doesn't matter. And then it goes 1,200 at 2 workers, 1,600 at 3 workers, 1,200 at 4 workers. Again, these don't line up, but hopefully you're getting. And then at 5 workers it's £800, and then at 6 workers it's £400. total revenue is just sort of the cumulative frequency, sort of the marginal product revenue, because the marginal product revenue is the increase in revenue from adding one extra worker. So it's 400 initially, and then we had 400 plus 1,200, 1,600, 1,600 plus 1,600, 3,200. 3,200 plus 1,200 is 4,400, and then at 5 workers it's 5,200, and then at 6 workers, it's 5,600. Okay, so that's the table sorted. Just a recap, as I was saying, that marginal product of labour is the increase in output from adding one additional worker. So the marginal product revenue is the increase in revenue from adding one extra worker. So if we add one extra worker, we're adding that total revenue to the already existing total revenue. We're not taking it away, because you can't reduce total revenue. If you've already got an X amount of units sold and money coming in, you can't possibly reduce it. So hopefully, if you didn't see it before, that zooming in there will sort of help you copy it down. So hopefully that's defined what we were talking about today. Any other comments or anything, just let me know, and if there's anything you think I've missed or gone through too quickly, or you didn't hear because I was trying to overtalk a few people that clearly don't understand how important this YouTube stuff is. So yeah, if you any comments or anything that you think I've missed out, or any hints or tips that you could give me, probably ones that don't say bog off or something. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in the next one.